I wouldn't want to knock over Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Yes, yes, yes. Crystals, altars, sacred spaces. I would even say vases with cremation. Yes, let's talk about that. When you hire a cleaning business, not only should you communicate with the cleaning business what you want cleaned, how you want it cleaned, if you have any specific allergies towards any scents or fragrances, or you want a specific type of cleaner. Not only should you have a cleaning conversation, you should have a conversation with your cleaner about what you want them to touch and not touch, what you feel comfortable with them touching, what rooms you want them to avoid. You need to communicate, because cleaners are not mind readers. We're not psychics. We don't know your home. This is the first time we're entering your home. And even years from now, if something new has entered your space, you need to communicate with the cleaner. And now cleaners don't always assume that your client will communicate with you. That's where you, as a cleaner, you need to have a backbone. You need to be able to communicate and ask your client, hey, there's a vase, and I'm not sure if there's ashes on this mantle in the vase. Should I touch it? Should I move it? What should I do with it? Because maybe they don't want you moving Uncle Harry's ashes. You know, leave Harry alone. Maybe they don't want you touching it. Let me give you an example. I had a client I was doing a deep clean for several years ago. And I noticed a lot of crosses and Christian stuff all around her house. I don't judge. I don't care what religion you preach or practice or follow or don't follow. I'm there to clean. But I'm observant, and I saw it. And as I saw all this stuff, I also noticed over every single door frame, there was writing, like in crayon or something. And it was Psalms, like Peter 3:16 or Paul 3:11 or all those things. Every single door, there was also a crucifix. So as I'm spot cleaning the walls, and I like to dust the door ledges, every single door frame had that. And I'm like, how am I going to dust around it without knocking over a crucifix? I feel odd knocking over a crucifix. I wouldn't want to knock over Jesus. You know what I'm saying? But I figured this has to be meaningful. It's on every single door frame. So since my client was home, I just, knocked on the door and I said, hey, sorry to bother you. Over the door frames, there's writing. Do you want me to wipe that off, or am I not wiping that off? And she's like, no, absolutely do not wipe that off, because I was spot cleaning the walls. I was cleaning off. There was fingerprints. There was like writing with markers on the wall. She told me, yes, can you please take that off? But over the door frames, there's clearly words written. It wasn't like scribble. So she's like, no, do not take that off. That's to protect us. And I'm like, okay, not a problem. Not touching it. Not touching it. And I said, okay, and I'm not going to dust. Like, should I dust around it? Or she's like, no, don't worry about the door frames at all. Honestly, the door frames were built up dust, but she didn't want me to touch it. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. And I respected her wishes and all was fine. But that's what you do. You communicate. Because had I gone and taken down the crucifix and sprayed down the writing and wiped it all off, then she would come at me and be like, oh my God, now we're not protected. I don't know what she would have said. But if in her home she wanted that, and now I removed it without asking her ahead of time, that could have been bad. Like, she may have been angry, and I don't know. I would have felt awful doing that. So when it comes to religious artifacts, spiritual shrines, I had another client of mine who had a little shrine set up in her bedroom with incense and pictures of the people that have passed and rosary beads. And she told me, Kathy, don't worry about that space. Don't touch it. I don't care how dusty. And I said, that's fine. I'm not touching it. You have to respect people's spaces. This is where they live. And you have to communicate with your client. Am I touching this or am I not touching this? Because you may not follow that religion, but they do. And you're in their space. So you need to respect their space. And clients, you need to communicate that with your cleaner, because not all cleaners understand religion. Maybe they don't know. So that's why communication between client and cleaner is so important. We're not just dusting and we're not just scrubbing toilets. It's communicating customer service. Follow along for more cleaning tips. Crunchy Cleaning by Kathy.